Good morning, all of you. Welcome to demonstration of linear integrated circuits and analog communication lab. So in this video, we shall see triple pi timer and its application. And one of the major application of triple pi timer is monoshot, that is monostable multi-operator. Let us see how do we use triple pi timer as a monostable multi-operator. Before we start using triple pi timer for monostable application, first we need to check the triple pi timer IC whether it is working or not. The best way to check the working of triple pi timer is we know that pin number 1 is ground and pin number 8 is VCC. You connect 5 volt to pin number 8 and you ground the pin number 1. You try to see what is the voltage at 5. So this pin number 5 is nothing but the control voltage, which happens to be the threshold voltage of triple pi timer, which happens to be 2/3 of VCC. So 2/3 of VCC in case of triple pi timer connected to 5 volt happens to be 3.33 volts. So 3.33 is nothing but 2/3 of VCC. So this is the first test has to be done before we proceed with the connections. Let me just check the same thing in our demonstration and try to verify whether the IC is working or not. Now we should proceed with testing this triple pi timer. So actually we have made this connection in the hardware. So let us try to check the voltage at pin number 5, which happens to be the control voltage. So let us go to this waveforms. And now we can see we have used the supply of 5 volts here, and the connection, the voltage that we are seeing is at pin number 5, which happens to be the control voltage, so which is connected to channel 1 here. You can see now the channel 1 voltage happens to be 3.3 volts, which shows that the IC triple pi timer IC is working, meaning I have made only this connection. So 5 volt is connected to VCC and it's grounded at pin number 1. So we are seeing in scope 1 plus the voltage at pin number 5, which happens to be the control voltage, is 2/3 of VCC, which is 3.3 volts. So that's what is we are measuring here, and this says that the IC is working. Now we can proceed with the rest of the circuit to realize the monoshot. So let us see what is the next circuit. Now the specification is we are supposed to obtain the monostable multi-operator working with the specification that the pulse width of the quasi-stable state should be 2.42 millisecond. We know that for that the circuit diagram happens to be this one. So one is grounded, which is trigger. One is ground, which is grounded here, and pin number 2 happens to be the trigger signal, to which we are applying the trigger signal through the waveform generation W1. So the output is taken at pin number 3, which will be connected to 2 plus of the AD kit, and we are connecting pin number 4 to reset. That reset to 5 volt, which happens to be to disable this reset. We are connecting it to 5 volts. We know that pin number 5 is control voltage, which is the VTH. So we are retaining this at 3.33 volts, that is 2/3 of VCC. We are connecting the capacitor so that this voltage doesn't change, and we are shorting threshold under discharge and connecting it to this junction of resistant capacitor, and this resistor is connected to VCC, which is connected to in turn connected to 5 volts. Now we have connected a resistor of with the pulse width required as 2.42 millisecond, which is given by the equation 1.1 R into C. We have connected a value of resistance of 22 kilo ohms, and the C is equal to 0.1 microfarad, so which will give a theoretical pulse width of 2.42 millisecond. So we have actually made this connection on the breadboard, and let us see what type of trigger signal we are supposed to apply so that we can make this monostable to go to quasi-stable. Okay, now this is the waveforms of monoshot. Now we want to have a trigger signal which is having some on time, so there should be some off time, and it should repeat for every cycle. That's what is the waveform W1 is going to give. Now we know that total time of the trigger, so T trigger is nothing but T on plus T off. one condition should be maintained, that the off time of the trigger should be less than the pulse width that we are intended to obtain, but time period of the overall trigger signal should be far greater than pulse width, that is TPW. The off time should be less than TPW, whereas the total time, which is nothing but T on plus T off of the trigger, should be greater than the pulse width. Suppose we maintain this relation, if we satisfy this relation, we end up with the output voltage which is going high. So when the trigger signal goes less than VTL, so it is going high for a predefined time of TPW. So now you can see the capacitor is initially 0 volt when it is not triggered. When the trigger voltage goes less than VTL, the capacitor starts charging. So this is keep on charging. When the capacitor voltage reaches VTH and slightly above that, the output ends at quasi stable state. Now you can see output is again going to stable state. So likewise, when you apply the next trigger signal, once it goes to stable state, it's again going into quasi stable state. The main thing what we are supposed to make sure that the off time of the trigger signal should be less than the pulse width, whereas the repetition period of the trigger should be more than TPW. Keeping this in mind, so we have to set the T trigger, the voltage or the waveform for the trigger signal should be suitably adjusted. Now let us see what are the requirement of a V trigger. So a trigger signal should be a type of square wave, and its amplitude should be around VTL. So why it should be around VTL is because we need to have the trigger voltage less than VTL and more than VTL. So sometimes it should be whenever you want to trigger it, the voltage should be less than VTL. If you want to disable the trigger, it should be more than VTL. So that's why it is set as around VTL. So it need not be VCC, but it should be more than VTL. If you want to disable the trigger, if you want to make the trigger to happen, it should be below VTL. So that's why it's written as around VTL. It should be above and below the VTL. Next question is, when you want to set any triggers, any waveform, so one is type, other is amplitude, next is what is the frequency and duty cycle. So we don't know what is the frequency and duty cycle. So let us have a look at, okay, what should be the frequency and duty cycle of this square wave for the required pulse width. Now we shall just go through this slide carefully. Now you can see the desired pulse width of the monoshot is 2.42 millisecond, and it is said that the off time of the trigger should be less than TPW, meaning the off time should be less than 2.42 millisecond. So let us assume that off time to be 1 millisecond. So this 1 millisecond is certainly less than 2.42 millisecond. So we have selected the off time of this V trigger as 1 millisecond because this 1 millisecond happens to be less than 2.42 millisecond. Next thing is the T trigger, the overall time of the trigger signal, which is T on plus T off, should be greater than TPW. So TPW is now the time of the trigger should be greater than 2.42 millisecond, meaning the T of the trigger should be anything greater than 2.42, we are assuming it to be 5 millisecond. So therefore, the timings that have been selected is T trigger should be equal to 5 millisecond, T off should be equal to 1 millisecond, so that it satisfies both the conditions. So once T is equal to 5 millisecond, T of the trigger is 5 millisecond and T off of the trigger is 1 millisecond. So we know that T on is equal to 4 millisecond, which is nothing but total T minus T off, which happens to be 4 millisecond. So since we know what is T on and total T, we can find the duty cycle. So duty cycle happens to be T on by total time, which is here 4 millisecond by 5 millisecond, which happens to be 0.8. That is 80%. Now in the previous case, we actually saw we have to find out what the duty cycle. Now duty cycle is found out to be 80% for this particular example. We can also find what is the frequency of the trigger signal so that we can properly apply. So frequency of the trigger should be equal to 1 over the time period for the trigger, which happens to be 1 over 5 millisecond, which is nothing but 200 hertz. Now we know that the V trigger, that is the waveform that is used for triggering the waveform, V trigger should have a frequency of 200 hertz, and 80% duty cycle, whereas its amplitude can be anything around VTL. It should be more and less than VTL. Now we shall see the simulations. We shall set the trigger waveforms as per these settings and try to see whether the output is, how do you obtain the output waveform. So let me just now on the breadboard we have actually made this connection. So having the external components R and C connected to as per this circuit diagram. So let us try to verify the waveforms and try to adjust the trigger signal, all those things. Now we shall use this waveform generator to give the signal. Now we can see as per the calculation, the frequency, of course, the type of the waveform is a square wave that we can select it here. So this is square wave, and frequency was found out to be 200 hertz. So it has been selected as 200 hertz over here, and the amplitude here you can see the amplitude is written as 2.5. So let me just let us spend some time with this amplitude. Suppose if I say the amplitude of okay, let me just give it as 5 volts here and try to see what happens. If I give the amplitude as 5 volts, you can clearly observe the peak amplitude is 5, because we are talking about a square wave of amplitude 5. Now this is going to generate a square wave of 5 volt of peak. Since it is square wave, it's negative, of course it's bottom, it's the least voltage is also -5. So what we are supposed to have is, we are supposed to have a voltage between 0 and 5. So let me just rise this to this 0, meaning, so let me have the amplitude as 2.5. So I can make the amplitude as, so I can make it as this is 2.5, and you make a offset of 2.5 volts. So let me just make this offset of 2.5. Carefully observe the changes that will happen in the waveform. So we have the modification. See here, it is now 0 volt and it is 5 volts. Now we have a waveform which is starting from 0 and it is going up to 5 volts, and you can see we have set the symmetry as 80%, meaning the on time is 4 milliseconds, the off time is 1 millisecond. So that's what is intended in our design. We thought of having an on time which is 4 millisecond and off time of 1 millisecond. So this is on time 4 millisecond, off time is just 1 millisecond. So that's what we are getting in the waveform. This we can apply to the trigger signal, and we can run this now. So we are running this wave generation. We can actually see what is the output. Now let us have a look at what is the output is. Actually, of course, we are seeing two waveforms. The output is in blue color, whereas the input is in yellow color. So let me just make this input and output slightly with some offset. So let me just modify this with some offset voltage. Let me just bring this down here. Now you can see, let me slightly bring it down. So let me make it -6 here, so that we can clearly see this. As you can see now, as the trigger signal goes below VTL, the output is going high. The output is going high and it is remaining there in the quasi-stable state for the predefined time, and it comes down again back to stable state. And it again goes to quasi-stable state only when the trigger signal goes below VTL. Okay, you can clearly see this here. So when the trigger signal goes below VTL, the output is going high. It is staying there for a predefined time and it will again come down. You can also just verify the the capacitor voltage in the output, so that you can see when the capacitor voltage is VTH, the output comes down. Now you can observe we are actually seeing two waveforms. The blue one is the output waveform, the yellow one is the voltage across the capacitor. Now you can see once the trigger signal goes below VTL, the capacitor starts charging. When the capacitor reaches 2/3 of VCC, the output is going down to stable state of 0. So let us verify whether the capacitor voltage is 2/3 of VCC. Using the measurement, we are seeing what is C1. C1 maximum is when the capacitor voltage reaches to 3.33 volts, which is 2/3 VCC. You can also measure the positive width here.